It was a typical dull day in calculus class, but being Friday 7th period, it meant the week was almost over, and spring break was just around the corner. Everyone was restless in their seats, I could sense it. Unlike many of my friends who had tests in their other classes, we didn't have one that day. Instead, our teacher decided to play games with us on sportscle.com. He was always a pretty relaxed teacher. We were in the middle of a brand logo quiz on Sporkle when it happened. I remember the exact moment clearly. Right after my friend answered with Adidas, the dean's voice came through the loudspeaker. He sounded panicked and frantic, announcing that this was not a drill and to go into lockdown immediately. A chill ran down my spine, and goosebumps appeared on my arms as our usually calm teacher hurriedly turned off the lights and directed us to the back corner of the room. We sat in silence for about 2 minutes before the usual buzzing from a panel in the back of the room stopped, signaling that the school had cut all the power. We exchanged worried glances, realizing the gravity of the situation. After a few more minutes of waiting, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs as he walked down the hallway. 2 girls in the class began to cry, which only heightened our fear. As the screams grew closer, the deranged man started banging on the lockers, shouting, "I'll kill all of you." At that moment, I truly feared for my life. Our teacher hushed us, and we all looked at each other, terrified. The banging then moved from the lockers to our classroom door, prompting one of the crying girls to scream. The pounding on the door grew more intense as the man yelled, "Open up." 2 girls were now sobbing loudly. The man's relentless pounding on the door seemed to last an eternity, but eventually, he moved down the hallway, still screaming like a madman, until we could no longer hear him. About 10 minutes later, though it felt much longer, the dean came back on the loudspeaker to explain the situation. He revealed that a seemingly mentally unstable person had entered the building and attacked the woman at the front desk, causing her to flee. It was unclear if the man was armed. At the time, the school lacked cameras and proper security, making it vulnerable to such incidents. The staff had swept the hallways and classrooms but couldn't find him. The dean instructed the teachers to continue with their lessons but to keep all doors locked and not allow any students to leave. The most unsettling part was that one of the night shift janitors found the man sleeping in a storage closet at the back of the school. According to rumors, a .44 Magnum was sticking out of his pocket. The janitor must have done something to wake him up, like leaving the door open, because by the time the police arrived, the man was gone. To this day, my entire class is unsure if the man was ever found. My school has 2 lunch periods. The first is for all 6th graders and some 7th graders, while the second is for the rest of the 7th graders and all 8th graders. The lockdown took place at the beginning of October on a gloomy, rainy day. During the first lunch period, I suddenly heard 4 loud bangs. Initially, I thought it was thunder, but the entire lunchroom erupted in screams. I thought everyone was overreacting until the campus security rushed in, shouting for us to head into the multi-purpose room. Those in line for lunch had to discard their meals and come inside. My friends and I, along with a large crowd, were herded into the room, all of us wondering what was going on. The multi-purpose room is enormous, with a transparent glass back wall. As we were hurried inside, security officers drew the curtains over the glass, and adults positioned themselves at every exit. My friend Noah, just as curious as the rest of us, approached one of the adults to find out what was happening. When he returned, Noah explained, "You know those houses right in front of TMS?" I nodded. Well, a mentally disturbed man barricaded himself in front of his house, threatening to kill himself and the police if they tried to evict him. He was also watching the kids outside our school in a creepy way. Noah informed us that the man was a registered sex offender, which made everything even more alarming. We were confined in the multi-purpose room for a full hour, overlapping 2 class periods. Once the situation was resolved, We were escorted to our classrooms one by one. Later, I found out that the man lived next to my friend Emily. She recounted how the previous Halloween, she saw the same man at his window, cutting his arm and writing "Don't come here, or I'll kill you" in his own blood. Initially, Emily and others thought it was just a Halloween prank. But after this terrifying incident, we realized the man was truly dangerous. We were relieved that he never got close to us. I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently landed a job at my old high school as a computer intern working in the school basement. The basement is chaotic and cluttered, but there's a cozy 3-person office down there. It has 3 large desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, and refreshing air conditioning, a luxury the rest of the school doesn't have. This office also houses all the school servers and other computer equipment. I secured this job thanks to the support of 3 of my former computer teachers who absolutely adored me. I consider them more than just teachers, they are true friends who helped me get this position. Everything was going smoothly until a few weeks ago. My 2 coworkers, Michael and David, weren't in the office at the time. They were upstairs handling paperwork or something. I was on my lunch break, enjoying a sandwich, when I got a call from a woman in the front office. She informed me that the school was on lockdown because an armed individual had entered the building. There wasn't much I could do besides turn off the lights, as our nice little office didn't have a door, just a large opening, and the basement door didn't even have a functioning lock. For my safety, I switched off all the lights and my computer screen. I kept my phone on the desk and texted both Michael and David, but neither responded. I sat there in the dark, playing games on my phone for about 20 minutes, anxiously waiting for the call to resume work. I had no idea what was happening above me, as I couldn't hear anything from the basement. I was instructed not to make any calls until the lockdown was lifted. Suddenly, the basement door creaked open, and the noise echoed into my office. I sat up, contemplating whether to call out for Michael and David. Someone then rushed down the stairs, and the footsteps drew nearer. I pushed my chair back and crawled under my desk. The person entered the office but didn't turn on the lights. Silence ensued. I was petrified. I felt that making any noise could be fatal. My phone suddenly dinged with a new message, and I felt my world collapse in that moment of fear. The footsteps approached until I finally emerged from under the desk, pleading for my life. The person grabbed my arm and pulled me up. It was a man in a red plaid shirt, jeans, and a reddish-black cap. He told me, "It's okay. I'm just hiding down here with you. What's happening up there?" I whispered back, but he ignored my question and asked if there was an exit down here. I pointed in the direction and asked, "Who are you?" After a brief silence, he explained that he was there to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. I checked my phone and saw a text from David, "Dude, this is crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Smith. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was about to read the text aloud when I looked up and my stomach sank. The man seemed to catch on to my suspicious stare. Panicking, I bolted for the stairs. A gunshot echoed through the basement, and I heard the bullet ricochet off something metal in the darkness. Thankfully, it missed me, and I made it upstairs. The police were waiting at all exits, including the basement, and they apprehended the man as soon as he opened the door. The good news is that Mr. Smith survived the gunshot. It was later determined that the shooter had some kind of grudge against Mr. Smith, though the reason was never disclosed. The sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind.